Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation and its affiliated political committee, the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Mr. Tim Pates here. How are you, Tim?
I am doing fine. How are you, Paul?
Very well, very well. Busy week. It just seems to be getting busier and busier.
Yep.
We are kicking off our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition campaign and have a huge press conference in the morning, and some film clips will be rolling and taking your phone calls in just a few minutes. We'll bring out our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
All right, welcome to our Hemp News segment. Tonight's first story is from the Denver Post, straight from Denver, Colorado. Jeffrey Sweeten, the Drug Enforcement Administration's top agent in Colorado, said Monday there must be aggravating factors before he would raid businesses involved in the state's medical marijuana industry. Sweeten said medical marijuana growers and dispensaries operating within the limits of the state law are not ordinarily worth his agent's time. Because of that, there have been instances when the DEA agents have taken no action against marijuana growing operations after an initial investigation, Sweeten said. Sweeten, the DEA agent said, quote, "There's no question that these guys who are growing weed are violating federal law. The real question is, what are we going to do about it?" End quote. Sweeten said agents would only pursue cases against medical marijuana distributors if those businesses had links to criminal organizations, were run by people with lengthy criminal backgrounds, were feeding the marijuana black market, were operating far over the line from the state law, or had some other combination of shady dealings. Sweeten's comments came a little over a week before a hearing in which Chris Berkowitz, a Highlands Ranch, Colorado man charged in federal court with marijuana cultivation, is expected to plead guilty. DEA agent seized plants and growing equipment from Berkowitz's home earlier this year and said he had grown several thousand plants, well beyond the state's limit of 6 plants per patient. That's an article from the Denver Post and written by John Ingold and published on Tuesday, April the 6th. Out of Olympia, Washington, Democratic Governor Christine Gregoire signed legislation into law last week that expands the state's nearly 12-year-old medical marijuana law. Senate Bill 5798 allows additional health care professionals, including naturopaths, physician's assistants, osteopathic physician's assistants, and advanced registered nurse practitioners to legally recommend marijuana therapy to their patients. Presently, only physicians may legally recommend medical cannabis. In Washington State, it's a rare instance where the state medical marijuana law is actually an affirmative defense, and there is no permit. Washington is the first state to codify these recommendation rights into law. According to Paul Armento, this measure further legitimizes cannabis as a therapeutic tool for health professionals. Many rural patients are more likely to have access to a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant than a physician. By giving nurse practitioners and physician's assistants the ability to provide the proper documentation for the medical use of marijuana, this provides them greater access to the care patients need. Senate Bill 5798 takes effect on June 10th, 2010. So on June 10th, 2010, nurse practitioners and physician's assistants and naturopaths will be able to recommend medical marijuana legally in the state of Washington. Our next story is out of Rhode Island. Patients Out of Time and the Rhode Island Patient Advocacy Coalition will hold the 6th National Clinical Conference on Cannabis Therapeutics next week April 15th to 17th at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island. Topics at the conference include the safety of medical cannabis use, endocannabinoid systems in neuropathic pain, oral preparations, the endogenous cannabinoid system and reproductive pain, growing cannabis for medicine, cannabinoid opioid interactions, and medical cannabis and the struggle to break the NIDA monopoly. Representatives from California's Harborside Health Center Medical Marijuana Dispensary have also announced plans to unveil a new type of non-psychoactive medicinal cannabis strain at this year's conference, one that's strong in CBD, or cannabidiol. Hebrew University from Israel, Raphael McCullum, will deliver the conference's keynote address. Physician and best-selling author Dr. Andrew Weil will speak via video conference at Friday night's benefit dinner. This year's conference is co-sponsored by the School of Medicine, the University of California at San Francisco, and the Rhode Island State Nurses Association. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, our next story. Minor marijuana possession offenses will no longer be prosecuted as criminal misdemeanors, according to a policy change announced by the new District Attorney, Seth Williams of Philadelphia, and reported by the Philadelphia Inquirer on Monday. Philadelphia NORML had been lobbying for the policy change after publishing a report which found that African American males comprised an estimated 83% of all persons in Philadelphia arrested for minor marijuana possession offenses. Under the new policy, which is anticipated to take effect later this month, prosecutors in Philadelphia will charge minor marijuana possession, defined as 30 grams or less, as a summary offense rather than a criminal misdemeanor. Defendants will be required to pay a fine but will not face incarceration or receive a criminal record. Under the previous district attorney, the city criminally prosecuted some 3,000 minor marijuana possession cases per year. The policy change will free up prosecutors and judges to focus their time and resources on more serious violations, the Inquirer reported. Our next story is, well, that's it. That's the end of our Hemp News segment. Okay. How are you, Tim?
Well, I'm very good. I am. Been one of those traveling weeks for me this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've both been going around.
It's what's required this time of year if we're going to do all the things we're proposed to be doing.
What we're doing
Yep.
is we're gearing up for John Trudell's Hemp is Earth Medicine Tour and
Yes.
the kickoff of our big petition campaign. We'll get a close-up on that a little later. Oh, there it is. Isn't that beautiful? Anyway, tomorrow morning we'll have a news conference over at the Cannabis Cafe at 700 Northeast Deacon about 10 a.m. where we're going to kick off our petition campaign. If you'd like to come down, be part of that, you can come out and sign the petition or pick up volunteer petitions or touch base with Democracy Resources about working on that petition campaign. So you're welcome to come down to that.
Right
Anyway,
on.
you got some music for us tonight.
Well, I've been playing music for a long time, and I thought about it, and the first time I actually had music was on ABC, and it's been 20 years now.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking about that piece that I wrote for ABC 20 years ago, and I remember when the producer asked me I asked him what it was he wanted. He says, I need 2 minutes of peaceful music. And so here you go, folks, 2 minutes of peaceful music.
Well, power to the peaceful.
Thank you.
I always like that
Thank
Michael
you.
Fronte slogan. That was definitely peaceful. Well, welcome to our show. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we have our first caller. Hello, caller. Welcome to our show. Oh, no. Okay. Well, I thought we had our first caller, but, that's the way it goes. We're volunteers here. So, we are taking text messages as well. So if you're watching us live on Ustream, you can just type a little text message into that box, and it will be transmitted to us, and we'll be able to answer that. Or you can call us at 503-288-4448. Welcome again, Tim.
Thank you.
We got some hemp brags here. We'll talk about
Nice
these a
ones.
little bit more. Yeah.
Actually, very nice ones here. Yeah,
clothes.
we've got a nice show and tell tonight.
Yeah, we do.
It's always nice to have a good show and tell.
So, our petitions are up there. Today kicked off the campaign. You can actually go online and print a petition and just sign your own. You don't have to fill out a form. In fact, if you get other people to sign a different form, you have to sign as the circulator of that petition and make an additional declaration on the form. But the petition online, you can simply sign for yourself. So there's one signature line petitions that you can print off and mail to us, or bring it down to our office or our news conference tomorrow if you want to turn it in and make a difference.
So it's time. It's time to do it.
It is.
If you actually believe in legalization and think that's what we should do, now's the time to get your signature on the ballot.
They've made the ballot down in
I said
California.
the ballot, but that's not correct. I didn't say that right. Get it on the petition.
Yeah, get your signature on the petition, and we get enough of those that'll make the ballot.
Yeah, but you said they did make it down
They
in
have
California.
qualified for a vote with the tax cannabis petition down there. There's also a petition drive going on right across the river for our viewers up in Washington State, the Sensible Washington petitions, an all-volunteer campaign, and they've made significant strides recently to in that. I think they're over a quarter and up to a third of the signatures they need. They also have to gather them by the 2nd of July, but their threshold's a lot higher. We need 88,000 valid registered Oregon voter signatures to
What do they
qualify. They need about 240,000
Wow.
registered Washington registered voters to
lot of work.
qualify. But they have more than twice as many people, almost 3 times as many people as Oregon does as well.
And how many they need in California? And they got that
They
done in
needed
no time
about
flat.
500,000, and they turned in 700,000.
There you
So
go.
they had more than enough.
Yeah.
We have our first caller. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
So I was just wondering what, well, obviously the distal purchases of marijuana they're just greatly appreciated in my home. I do this,
Sure.
getting sick every morning due to gastroparesis and throwing up. So I know that the medicinal purchases myself very much with not throwing up as much. And I just
That's
didn't know what I
important.
could do to help get it passed.
Right on.
The best thing you can do is to just gather a few signatures, or if you can afford to, donate to Oregonians for Cannabis Reform. That's the political committee that's leading the petition drive. You can do that online or print out that form at our website, which is for the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act campaign. It's cannabistaxact.org. That's CANNABISTAXACT.org. Or you can get to it by typing in OCTA 2010, OCTA 2010.org. And there you can print out the petition. You can make a contribution that's directly recorded and accounted for by C&E Systems. They are our financial reporting group that's handling all the finances. And we have another company, Democracy Resources, that's leading the petition drive and doing the fundraising as well.
My friend had told me that I could probably qualify for a medical card. Do you know what I would
yeah,
need
you
to do?
given what you
to-
just told me that you're throwing up every day
Unless you take your
from
medicine.
that gastrointestinal ailment, you would definitely qualify for medical marijuana.
So where would I go down to Portland to to a clinic down?
Sure. There are clinics in Portland. We'd be happy to refer you to a doctor who could help you. There are also doctors who see patients in Eugene and Grants Pass and Bend and other parts of the state as well. But it sounds like you're probably closer to Portland, in which case just call our office, which is 503-235-4606. We have a referral service for doctors all over the country. So if you're watching anywhere in the United States and you're in one of the legal medical marijuana states, there's 14 of them out there, then we can refer you to a doctor to help you in your area.
Okay, great. Well, I hope that you get all the support that you need, because we know how important it is to have that out for medical uses. And
Thanks.
it has lots of other great uses.
Yeah, we're trying to focus on that. Our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition will 2% of the proceeds from the sales to adults to the promotion of hemp for biodiesel fuel with 1%, and another percent will go to set up a state commission to promote hemp food and fiber and building materials and paper and things like that. So that'll just set off an economic boom here in our state and create thousands of jobs and put Oregon on the cutting edge of these exciting new industries in biofuels and paper and hemp building materials and hemp foods, and really the sky's the limit.
For sure. And I just got a piece of paper and a pen out. Can you give me that number again? It's 503 what?
503-235-4606. There it is on your screen. 503-235-4606.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too.
I was going to say, if she could stomach a night of music, she should come out and enjoy the evening here in Portland or whatever town she's in, because we've got this Six City tour coming up.
That's right. Coming up here in Portland on Saturday, April 24th, we'll have our a concert at the Roseland Theater that is a benefit for the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition. And that will be Saturday, the 24th. And it will, you can find out more about it at the website for the Roseland Theater. You can buy tickets on our website at cannabistaxact.org or directly from any of the Tickets West outlets out there for the show in Portland. We have shows throughout the state. If you're in the Bend area, we'll be in Redmond on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd. We'll be in Eugene for April 20th for our big 420 show at the Lane County Fairs Performance Hall. Then we'll be at OSU's LaSalle Stewart Center, right across the street from Reeser's Coliseum, where the Beavers play. They're on campus at Oregon State University in Corvallis on Sunday, April 18th. And then on the 17th, Saturday, we'll be down in Ashland at the Ashland Armory. We're going to start off our tour down in Grants Pass at the Rogue Theater on Friday the 16th, just next Friday. In fact, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to have a recorded show. We're going to be out on the road doing these benefit concerts. So next Friday night, we will be in Grants Pass at the Rogue Theater. So we won't be here to do a live show, but we do have a tape show that will show many clips from past shows. And I think we'll have John Trudell featured, of course, and things from the Global Marijuana March. That's coming up here on May 1st, Saturday, May 1st at Pioneer Courthouse Square. And so that is what's going on.
Which is a lot.
Yep, we definitely have a lot going on. We have an audience out here, and you're welcome to come down and be part of the studio audience every Friday night, except the 16th and 23rd, because we won't be here. But go ahead. How are you tonight?
Hi. My question is from my niece. She wanted to know, because she's going to be traveling between Alaska, Washington, California, and Oregon, the legalities of actually flying with her medicine with her.
When you leave the state, you're not covered. At the Portland Airport, if you have a medical marijuana permit, they'll allow you to fly on. I've had to show my card twice over the past few years at the TSA screening to enter the Portland Airport. However, generally, if you You don't have to show it to them. That's not required. However, there's only 4 states that have reciprocity where you're covered once you leave the state. And those states are Montana, Michigan, Rhode Island, and Maine. So the 3 M states, Montana, Michigan, Maine, and then Rhode Island, are legal with a medical marijuana permit. With your card is only good in the state of Oregon and those other 4 states that have a reciprocity clause in their medical marijuana law.
Then the follow-up question would be, what about multiple cards so that you could have a card in each state?
Well, if you have a doctor in that state, then you can get multiple cards. I, for instance, have a card for Oregon and Hawaii, and in California and Washington, I have a doctor's recommendation. Both of those states don't have a regular card system. And so I have permits in those states, and my Washington permits help me out on at least one occasion. And I haven't really run into that issue in these other states, fortunately.
Thank you, Pa.
You're welcome. We have a telephone caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good. Howdy.
Well, hey, I got a really interesting question. I was at my doctor's, I think about 2 years ago, and they had an intern, a doctor-to-be, in their second year, and this person actually had the audacity to say, we don't know the 20-year effect of marijuana. What purpose does that serve in the medical industry? What do they teach these people to make them say something so ignorant as to we don't know a 20-year effect of marijuana?
It's not true. Marijuana is one of the most studied substances in the history of man, and there are definitely long-term studies of people who've used it more than 20 years. I think Tim and I are long-term studies in the use of marijuana
Yes,
in its
we
very
are.
own
I would agree.
self. So,
Yes.
gee, I think I'm coming up on my 40th year of being a marijuana smoker, so I've almost doubled that 20 years. So
You have to question which school he went to, what he was taught, where he did his residency. You have to look at, what his practice fields are and how much exposure he's had. Doctors are just like anybody else. If they've had no opportunity for education, they're going to be just as ignorant as anybody else about the subject.
right. And so what you got to do is have studies ready, or kind of look at those and just educate this doctor.
That's
and
it.
that there are lots of studies out there. In fact, a doctor at UCLA, a medical researcher by the name of Donald Tashkin, had been publishing stories on marijuana and lung function since the 1960s. So he had been studying marijuana since then, going back again 40 years. And about 5 years ago, he concluded that if you use marijuana, you're less likely to get lung cancer than if you don't smoke anything at all, and that marijuana has an anti-tumoral effect and protects people from cancer.
Right.
And that was a study he was trying to figure out, ways to dispute marijuana's use.
His original hypothesis was that it
was bad
it
for
hurt.
you.
There's also a study just last year that showed that you're less likely to have organ rejection in transplant cases if you use medical marijuana, that it helps relieve the nausea and other things associated with the drugs you have to take when you are an organ transplant patient. And so a lot of times liver and kidney transplant patients are kicked off of the waiting lists for using medical marijuana. I've known about 40 people over the past 7 or 8 years who have been sentenced to death because they were taken off the liver transplant list and they passed away shortly thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
I got
And
one
so
more question.
there's that misinformation by the medical community out there, and what the doctors actually say at these things is they take them off the list because they think they're less likely to have a healthy lifestyle, that will help them retain the transplant and not reject the transplant. And in fact, the studies actually show it's just the opposite of what these transplant centers hold, that patients who use medicinal marijuana are less likely to reject donations. So these doctors are making these life and death decisions based on misinformation. So our ignorance is basically what it is. It's not really even misinformation. It's just kind of a mindset based on misinformation.
One more profession that I'd like like to touch on that. My child goes to school and comes back from DARE, and these DARE police teachers or whatever, whoever these people are, that DARE program, sent a paper home saying that, and I know it's garbage, but that they're teaching our kids that one joint is equivalent to being as bad as 4 cigarettes. Where did they get this stuff?
How recent was this education experience of your child?
This was less than a year ago.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand that that product, the DARE program, I call it a product because it was created by Daryl Gates, who was
back
then
the Los Angeles police chief back
Yeah.
in, what was it, the 70s or 80s?
Yeah, yeah. That's why he called it DARE, so he wanted everybody to remember him. It's true. You can ask him. That's what he said. It's based on a bunch of fallacies, including that one. And so, once you have all this false information, it's easy to continue putting false information out there. And if it comes from the mouth of a teacher or an authority figure, it must be correct. If it's in the paper, it's got to be right, and all these other things. It's a fallacy. They're based on misinformation. It's just like the old PRIDE program and the Parents' Resources and Information for Drug Education. They all come out, but they're based on information that has now since been proven to be false, but they still continue putting out that level of crap. What are you going to do? But just continue giving good information.
Exactly.
If you give them accurate information and let them judge it for themselves, they'll figure it out. They will.
Well, I wanted to get those 2 questions out there. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You have a great evening.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If you're watching our show out there on the internet, on Ustream, and we have a few hundred viewers out there, thanks for watching, folks. You can text us with a question right there in your text box, and we have a question for you, Tim.
Oh, okay.
What program was your song on 20 years ago?
It was on the ABC Evening News. This was in Eugene, and it was the producer wanted 2 minutes of peaceful music for a piece they were doing about Breitenbush, and so you have to go back to the ABC Evening News out of Eugene back in about 1990. Yeah, that's about right.
That's it.
That's
Okay.
about right.
Was that the same song you played tonight?
Yes, it actually was.
And
Dig it
then-
up. If you can dig that up, you're good.
We have a question from Pennsylvania asking about of I-28 and does it have a future if OCTA is successful? I-28 is a dispensary initiative that looks quite likely to make the ballot in Oregon.
Good.
And
Give
so
them a chance to vote on it.
It's been organized by Voter Power, and I know they've turned in a batch of signatures and are working on turning in more. And so we support I-28 and think it's a good program if OCTA fails. But they can both pass, and they're not incompatible. However, if OCTA passes, anyone will be able to grow marijuana without a license or permit, so there'll be no reason for a medical marijuana patient to pay money and be registered in the medical marijuana program. However, patients with a doctor's recommendation under the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act will be able to go to pharmacies and get cannabis, because the OCTA petition will create a production system that will supply state stores that sell to adults a product that the state makes a profit on in taxes and uses those proceeds for state programs in the state general fund and to promote hemp products and for drug education and treatment programs. But medical marijuana won't be taxed and will be sold at farmers' cost through pharmacies. And so currently the Oregon Board of Pharmacy is set to reschedule marijuana out of Schedule 1 to Schedule 2, 3, 4, or 5, which will permit its prescription through pharmacies. And so we anticipate that we'll start seeing organic cannabis in state pharmacies under OCTA sometime next year if we pass it. So they can both pass. If OCTA doesn't pass, then I-28 will set up a dispensary system for patients that will give them much better access to marijuana. And so the dispensary initiative is I-28, and the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act to legally tax and regulate marijuana is I-73. And so that's the difference there. I'm sure that answered that question in depth. We have another question, or a caller. Hello, caller. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I had a quick question. I think you answered it while I was trying to get through to you on the phone about what's on the ballot as far as dispensaries. So
There you go.
that's all going to be put through the all just like with alcohol. It's going to be in with the pharmacies, or is
Well,
it going to be
under
in
the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, it would mandate a new store system, much like the liquor store system, that would be marijuana only. And so state contractors would be able to open a store and sell marijuana to adults over the age of 21. They could also supply local bars and taverns with cannabis that bar minors admission, just as they do for alcohol today. And so
that would be regulated by a commission, just like
by the
OSCC.
Oregon Cannabis Control Commission under
Right.
the OCTA petition. And the Oregon Cannabis Control Commission would collect the crop and sell it to pharmacies at cost and to these state contractors at a profit.
Okay, so would it run like the California system, or?
Well, the California system right now, you're talking about the tax cannabis initiative that just qualified for a vote?
No, I'm
What, the way the system
The way it
exists
is right now?
Yeah.
No, California really is kind of a free-for-all down there. There's no real direction to the dispensary issue, and it's left to the counties and cities to regulate it. And so the counties and cities have chosen to regulate medical marijuana dispensaries, where I-28 would set up dispensaries that would be regulated by the state health department, and they mandates that they be nonprofits. And under the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, the state would regulate the sales to all adults. And so it's completely different from what's going on down in California right now.
I mean, imagine walking into a dispensary in California today and spending $75 to $90 for an eighth.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, think about that, how much is that for an ounce? That's a ridiculously large amount of money that usually patients who are very sick and disabled cannot afford. That's not a patient-friendly system in my mind. And so what we tried to create here in Oregon is more of a patient-friendly system over the past 10 years.
Exactly.
And now we're trying to codify that and create it even better so that everybody now has the right to smoke marijuana if they want to, cannabis, and use it in whatever way is appropriate and proper.
Exactly.
And that's what we're fighting for. And so I see us as a more patient-friendly opportunity so that the prices won't get out of hand like black
There'll
market
be
prices.
competition, so the prices hopefully will be driven down.
Yeah, that's the hope. And we've worked on it for 10 years in our community, and hopefully we can allow that to branch out.
So how do you think? I mean, just real quick, last question. I know you guys are busy. I wanted to find out how would I'm a prominent business owner in Oregon, right here in Portland, and the conception of people out there right now is, it's bad. But we all know it's not.
Right.
I'm a veteran and I broke an ankle in the service, so I use it for that. I have a total joint replacement in my left ankle from a service-connected disability. So I use it, and I've had my card for 3 years. And, I know that all of the propaganda out there is really, it's propaganda. It's
Bingo.
built against to get the average guy that, and there's so many users out there right now that are using it legally, but I think you're kind of like me. I am still in my closet kind of medication kind of person, because like I told my mother the other day, I said, I don't ask what's in your medicine cabinet.
Right.
Yeah, it's time to be legal.
Yeah.
There's too many of us like
we
you.
should be able to come out of the closet and be proud of what we are and who we are, because we have nothing to be ashamed of. And so under the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, that'll take the stigma away from that and normalize cannabis, so that, we're talking about a plant that the flowers produce chemicals that mimic brain neurotransmitters. And and what they do is they make people happy and giggle. How can that be illegal?
Right?
The people are happy and giggle. And at the same time, it's the same plant that produces more protein and oil in its seed for food and fuel, and more fiber in its stems and stalks than any other plant on this planet. It produces more fuel, fiber, and food than any other plant on the planet. I think this is a sacred gift from our Creator, and Mother Earth, that it's kind of a tragic story when it comes to people who have been in prison for long periods of time and had their family and careers destroyed because of a marijuana arrest. So what we want to do is to take marijuana out of the black market and regulate it and put it above ground and create thousands of jobs and raise substantial revenue for our state, while at the same time creating revenue for the state and economic development for our farmers and our people.
I couldn't agree. You guys are doing an awesome job. I follow you guys 100%. I'm involved with Mamas, all their wonderful classes and the things they do too. So you guys are great. Keep up the good work, you guys. I can't thank you enough. And until it's more widely accepted, unfortunately, the businessman that I am, I'm going to have to keep it on the, keep it in my closet.
You can speak at the voting poll, though.
Hopefully I do. And
sign the petition and come out and vote for us.
Too.
Yep.
So we'll be
get a few
donating
people
to you
if you
guys
can
this
afford
year.
make a contribution, because
I heard that he said he was going to. I just heard that over. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
thank
no,
you.
We're going to hold you to that.
We've been giving to you guys for quite a few years. We just want to make sure that, with our position and our company, we can afford to give you guys. And so if we can help it through the back door by our donations, that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
And there's a lot of guys out there just like me.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You can
All right,
print
thanks.
out our petitions online at the website cannabistaxact.org or octa2010.org and make a contribution that'll be directly recorded. Thanks for that phone call. We have a film clip we're going to roll now, and we'll be back in just a moment
Right on.
to take more questions and calls. Stay tuned.
And talk about cool things.
No one ever died from marijuana that wasn't shot by a cop. Marijuana is non-toxic. Aspirin kills 2,000, 5,000 people a year. Caffeine kills 2,000 people a year.
Doubled its amount, you just didn't touch it. You didn't touch it.
He's doing cops and wheels.
And you're going to run that down?
Move to the...
That could change it.
Don't let them punch you. Back it off. Everybody stop. What happened?
There we are.
All right.
You
I'm
caught us.
texting away.
Yeah.
Hey, anyway, welcome back. We're taking your phone calls at 503-288-4448.
We have some show and tell here. Let's talk about this.
We do, okay. Right there. You've got a Norm Thompson 100% hemp garment.
It certainly is.
And that's a pretty
I'll just
nifty
hold it
little
up just like
jacket.
that.
Norm Thompson, that's a major purveyor of these products out there.
Looks like a
So
nice
that's-
herringbone weave.
Yeah.
It's a fairly heavy thread, heavy weight to it. Nice buttons. Well made. Large. Portland, Oregon.
Made in Portland. Well, Norm Thompson has an outlet here, or
There you go.
their catalog headquarters here in the Portland area.
And
So
what
that
else we
makes
got
sense.
here?
Here's a nifty sweater-like garment there.
Yes, it is.
And so that's made, that's another 100% hemp thing. So nifty. Then finally, last but not least, we have our posters. You can get some of these at, hey, they're closing in. Even tighter on that one right there. There. I like that picture. That's John Trudell. And so we have John Trudell and Bad Dog playing in the Hemp is Earth Medicine Tour. We also have Seattle folk singer Jim Page and the state of Jefferson, Mr. Tim Pate,
Yes, indeed.
and Jim Matheson of the Herbivores. So that's coming up here at the Roseland on Saturday the 24th and throughout the rest of the state. Go to our website again. At the website, you can buy these tickets You can print the petition out and sign it and mail it back to us to End Adult Marijuana Prohibition and Restore Industrial Hemp. And you can also even make a political contribution that'll be properly recorded.
And didn't you say something about if they got 40 of their friends to sign that petition?
Yeah, I had some people saying, hey, can we come volunteer for the show? And I told them, hey, if you'll volunteer to go out there and get signatures and bring a significant number of signatures and your ID, because we need to prove who you are if you're going to circulate that petition, then you can get a free ticket, win a free ticket.
Yeah.
To
earn a
the
ticket.
thing and be on our guest list
There you
as
go.
a Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petitioner. So if you want to take part in that, just come down and get our petition. We have an office at 5220 Northeast Sandy, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can go down to 5220. It's right above a place called Stanley Printing on one of those weird little triangular blocks on the hill there on
like the
520.
The Flatbush
Northeast
building?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. And it's got some, at the very end, a very small triangular room
Flat
as well.
Iron Building is what they call it. The Flatiron Building. Yeah, it's in New York City. But yeah, it's one of those little odd corners.
Yep, that's what it is. We have some more questions here online I was taking a look at. Let's see. Our next question online is, what does it mean for medical card? What means do medical card holders have to obtain seeds? Can they be safely ordered online or imported? And the answer is no. I mean, maybe. The odds are that they will be delivered better than average, but they also can be seized, and many people get a letter saying they found contraband in your mail. So you kind of roll the dice when you order seeds online. So that's the answer to that question. We have a telephone caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was wanting more information about traveling with my medicine. If I'm willing and need to travel to a state that doesn't honor our card, what do you suggest in traveling with medicine on an airline, for instance?
Well, I have traveled with medicine on an airline, and I usually just carry it on my person in a very discreet location. And I sometimes will put it into my carry-on wrapped up, so it's not the easiest thing to find. You can also take edible products, and if you take edible products, then I just pack those in your luggage and they'll be just fine. I would say if you put cannabis into your checked baggage, you should be sure you don't have anything in there that's going to prompt the government to come search it. I wouldn't have anything in there but garments. If you have water bottles or electronics, they're liable to open your case and search it thoroughly. Where if you don't have any of those items, it's much less likely to be looked at. But be sure to carry your medical marijuana permit at the airport, and even if they do find your medical marijuana, they won't seize it and they'll let you go. And I've been through that process twice. I'm a very frequent flyer with offices across the country here, and so twice I've had my medical marijuana found in my carry-on, and I had to wait for the local Port of Portland police to come down and run my medical marijuana card and then let me go. In one case, they said, well, when you land, you're not going to be legal. And I said, well, I'll be in Hawaii, and showed them my Hawaii card. I have an Oregon and Hawaii state permit. And he said, well, when you're in the air between here and there, you won't be legal. But same time, I wasn't going to be using it in the air between here and there. So anyway, they let me go, and I went to Hawaii and had my medicine there and didn't have a problem.
You do not have to be a resident of a state in order to hold
No, they
another
just
card?
held me there for about 20 minutes at the TSA gate while they called the Port of Portland police. The Port of Portland police came down and checked my medical marijuana permit, certified it was valid, and then let me go. I didn't get arrested.
Paul has a card in both those states, though,
Yeah.
too, to answer your question.
And I also always carry my vaporizer, a Volcano vaporizer, when I go through airline security, and at least literally 100 different times over the past few years, it's been tested as a bomb. About 60% of the time they tested it for explosives, but since I never handle explosives, I've never had a problem.
It is explosive, but in a different way.
Well, okay.
So you have to add the extra hour to your time at the airport when you check in.
Well, not really. I usually just sail right through and I don't have a problem. but I have to take out my computer and put it in one bin and put my vaporizer in another bin, and they X-ray it and sometimes look at it a little closely. But I usually don't have that problem, and I
One
haven't
more
had
quick
them.
question. You do not have to be a resident in a state in order to hold a card in that state. Is that correct?
Well, actually, I have dual state residency, so I have a Hawaii driver's license and an Oregon driver's license. The state of California does not require that you be a resident to have a doctor's recommendation, but the state of Washington and Oregon and Hawaii do require that you meet the residency requirements of those states.
Okay. Thank you so much for your help.
Sure, you're welcome. We have a studio audience member who has a question. Go right
how's
ahead.
It going? Yeah, regarding this Tax Act 2010, I've been out of state for a while and living in Utah, and so I haven't been around. Is this something, have you guys tried to do this every year?
No, this is the first time it's been circulated in this decade. I think the last time we tried to do it was 98.
It looks like it's going to pretty good chances this time.
Yeah, we have a pretty well-funded campaign and a professional company to put it forward. And in fact, Democracy Resources has a track record of 100% success in qualifying initiatives for the ballot.
And how did that work out 10 years ago?
Well, we got about 60% of the signatures and didn't make the ballot. It was an all-volunteer campaign.
But times have changed.
Times have certainly changed. The times, they are a-changing. And so our next question online, has clove oil ever been mixed with CBD for tooth pain? I don't know.
I don't either.
I think so. I'm not 100% certain. It sounds like a good idea to me. Hey, we have another film clip we're going to roll right now, and we'll be back in just a minute, take more questions and comments in these last 10 minutes we have here. So stay tuned.
The following trailer contains real marijuana. Legend has it that deep within the THC crystal of the marijuana plant, there lives a goddess. A goddess so incredible that meeting her will transform your life forever.
She's magnificent, glorious, beautiful, delicious.
I want to meet her.
You start with a strain like this, nurture her, worship her. When your mind is open, she will come.
When their leader is arrested, 3 friends will travel halfway across the world, plant 25,000 marijuana plants, and harvest more organic ganja than you and all of your friends could smoke in 3 lifetimes. Whoa, that's a lot of pot.
You're from America? Yep. So you think you can just come over to Europe, grow some weed, and make a whole bunch of money? Doesn't work like that.
All I know is, after how some of y'all treated the son, the Lord felt the need to hide his daughter. And he hid her in the most sacred of sacred places.
They have only one chance to get it right and to meet one goddess. Would you like to meet the Green Goddess?
So that movie will start hitting the road with some test showings here in the next month or two. So stay tuned, and we'll tell you if any of those happen to come through here. We have another viewer phone call. Hello. You're on our show.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I have a question. I retired from the Air Force with a 50% disability, and I've applied for an increase in my disability due to many things, degenerative disc, adhesion-related disorders. So I've had lots of surgeries and stuff like that. And I've also applied for Social Security disability, which was denied at first, and the lawyer's working on it, and she's pretty sure that it's going to go through. My question is,
How is medical marijuana going to affect that?
Yeah, I have not done any of that yet because I was waiting to see, get those approved first, and then if they're approved, then I was going to go for my, medical marijuana card, and I wanted to see how that would affect Social Security or the VA.
I'm a disabled veteran, and it has absolutely no impact as long as you aren't on a pain management contract. Then and receiving large doses of painkillers, then it won't have any impact, and they won't be doing drug tests on you for just about anything they do in the VA facility. When it comes to Social Security, as long as you don't tell them, they won't know about your state medical marijuana permit. And so again, they don't require drug testing to qualify for disability. And so it's something that, again, won't have an impact unless you tell them about it.
They can't ask, and you shouldn't tell.
Exactly.
Okay, and what if it's, what if this bill that you're going, or whatever
Well,
it's
our
called.
Oregon Cannabis Tax Act will change everything. It'll just take the stigma away from it, and it'll just change employment practices and many of the other issues revolving around cannabis, and just completely give us a new age of freedom and liberty here. And we'll see a new standard of justice where people aren't criminals just for using this beneficial herb that's much healthier than alcohol or tobacco, and in fact has health benefits compared to the negative health implications of those other substances.
Okay, two more quick questions. How do you sign the petition? And does medical marijuana help with depression and anxiety?
Yes. Medical marijuana definitely helps with both of those, and depression and anxiety. However, it's only approved for depression and anxiety in the state of California currently. So you can't get it in other states. I think anxiety might be on the list in New Jersey, but I'm not sure of that. But
you can use it for other things and still get the benefit of the...
Yeah, exactly. You with chronic pain would qualify with your chronic pain and your other medical conditions and could use it for anxiety or depression at that point if you desired.
Okay.
Yeah, we have many patients who have disability and who have medical marijuana permits, and it doesn't affect it at all.
That was one of the things. I used to be in the disability business, and I'm no longer. But I do know that the United States government will turn down all disability applications. They turn down them, and they figure that 1 out of 10 will not reapply, just out of hard luck for you, buddy. And so what happens is they save 10% on their first batch, and so you keep reapplying, and if you deserve it, you'll get it. Is basically the advice of any good person out there. Just keep trying.
I will. And how do we sign a petition?
You can come down to our OCTA office at 520 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. It's above Stanley Printing. Or you can go online to our website and print out a 1 signature sheet. Or if you want to get volunteer signatures, you can contact our office. Go to that website at cannabistaxact.org or octa2010.org. You can print out a 1 signature sheet there and mail it into us or bring it into us.
Okay.
Or call us and get petitions too.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Thanks for those good questions.
Okay.
All right, and we have a studio audience member who has a question for us. Go right ahead.
Good evening.
Howdy.
I live in federally government housing and not allowed to grow for myself. And I've been having a lot of problems with finding a grower. Is there anywhere out there to get help finding an honest grower?
Yes, there are several nonprofits in town. One is Oregon Normal. In fact, Oregon Normal has a twice a month, on the second and fourth Saturday of each month. So tomorrow at about 11:30, you'd want to be at the Oregon Normal meeting. I think they lock their doors at noon, and they give away free medicine and plants, and they have caregivers there that can give you a hand.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to get a caregiver if you don't know someone who can do it for you. We have a question online, and the question is, if seeds are seized in shipping, are there legal ramifications for the receivers? Generally, no. I've not heard of anyone being actively prosecuted for receiving seeds. I think they just send a letter that tells people that those seeds have been seized and they might contact them, but generally they don't contact them. And then the next question is, food grade hemp oil flammable? And yes, food grade hemp oil is flammable. That is true. So that answers both of those questions online. I want to thank our viewers out there for watching. We're winding up with just about a minute and a half left to go. You know, I urge you to go out to our website out there, cannabistaxact.org. Print, if you're in Oregon, print that petition. Wherever you are in the country, click on and make a donation and help us. And come down to our concert tour with John Trudell and find out more about that at that website. I want to thank you for watching. Tune in next week. It's time to end the legalize and legalize marijuana and restore hemp. So good night, folks. Mr. Tim Pace on guitar.
See you in a couple of weeks, folks.
Yeah, we'll be live 2 weeks, 3 weeks.